So 2 days ago, the president of the Philippines flew to Vancouver, not Washington, not London, Vancouver, to personally sign a strategic deal with Canada. And last month, Japan signed its most significant partnership with Canada in decades. Australia's pension funds have opened up billions in investment to Canada. And recently, the world's biggest investors have moved a record amount of money into Canadian government bonds in a single month.
And then, at that exact same moment, 24 allied nations pulled Canada into the room where the next 50 years of defense technology will be decided. Two completely independent signals from two completely different worlds, financial markets and military alliances arriving at the same conclusion at the same time.
Yeah, something is happening here, and it isn't random. Country by country, deal by deal, dollar by dollar, the world is placing a very deliberate bet on Canada. And today we're going to show you exactly what's happening, why it's happening right now, and what it actually means for this country's future.
To understand why all of this is happening at once, you need to understand the problem that most of the world's governments are trying to solve right now. The two biggest players on the global stage, the United States and China, have both become deeply unpredictable. Supply chains have been weaponized, trade deals have been torn up overnight, markets have been used as political leverage.
And so governments across Asia, Europe, and the Pacific are all asking the same question. Who can we actually build with? Who honors their contracts? Who shows up to the table and stays there? And there's a phrase making the rounds in foreign policy circles these days, and it's middle powers. These are countries powerful enough to matter, but not so dominant that every partnership turns into a power struggle. Think Germany, Finland, Australia, Japan, countries like that.
Right. These countries are actively looking for each other, and they're increasingly finding their way to Canada. Not because of a single dramatic announcement, but because Canada keeps showing up with resources, with credibility, with a track record of not blowing things up. Dole is doing a lot of work for Canada right now, and that is meant as a compliment. In 2026, reliable is a competitive advantage.
So let's start with the bond record, because this is a big deal that most people didn't even hear about. In April 2026, foreign investors bought a record $27.7 billion in Canadian government bonds in a single month. Not a quarter, not a year, 1 month. And that pushed foreign ownership of Canada's entire federal bond market to 43%. Also an all-time high.
So what does that actually mean? A government bond is essentially a loan you make to a government. They take your money, use it to fund the country, things like roads, housing, defense, healthcare, and they pay you back with interest over a set period. And the interest rate is everything. It tells you exactly how risky that loan is considered to be. Higher rate, more risk. Lower rate, more trust.
And here's the number that matters most. Canada's 10-year bond yield right now sits around 3.4%. The US, the world's largest economy, is paying investors roughly a full percentage point more. What does this mean? Well, it means that the world's most sophisticated investors are demanding a premium just to hold that American debt. And they're willing to accept less to hold Canadian debt. That is the market sending a message, people.
And is being confirmed by the rating agencies as well. Moody's and S&P, two of the three biggest global credit raters, give Canada their top sovereign rating right now. That's the same tier the United States had been losing ground on. So when rating agencies moves a country's debt down, they are telling every investor on Earth, this borrower is riskier than we thought. So Canada, we're moving in the opposite direction.
So why does this matter? You're probably asking yourself. Well, when the world trusts you enough to lend you money cheaply, you can actually build things like infrastructure, housing, defense capacity, the generational investments that define a country for decades. Canada is getting a discount on its future, and that discount is funded by trust. The money saved on lower borrowing costs is real money that goes somewhere actually productive.
And look, The 43% foreign ownership number tells you this is not a handful of nervous investors rotating out of the U.S. for a few weeks. This is coordinated, large-scale, sustained capital moving toward Canada as a safe home for serious money. Investors ask one blunt question: who is most likely to pay us back without generating political or financial chaos along the way? Right now, Canada keeps winning that question.
Now let's move on to the second signal here, and this one goes deeper than money. Canada has officially joined the NATO Innovation Fund. It just needs that final vote. 24 allied nations. Canada committed $107 million over 20 years. And the mandate of this fund is investing in what they call deep technology. AI, quantum computing, advanced energy systems, all that stuff that we don't really understand.
Well, these are technologies that will determine, though, who holds economic and military power for the next half century. It's not just the next election cycle, it's the next 50 years. And Canada now has a seat at the table where those technologies get prioritized, funded, and deployed across 24 allied nations.
Yeah, and here's the specific Canadian opportunity inside all of this. Canadian researchers are genuinely world-class. They produce remarkable work in AI, quantum computing, and life sciences. The weakness has always been capital for Canada. Canadian companies would build something impressive, and then the serious money and the big customers are always somewhere else, and the whole operation ends up leaving. The patents leave, the jobs leave, the economic value walks right out the door with it.
Well, this fund changes that equation. Canadian deep tech companies can now access up to 15 million euros in what the fund calls patient capital. It's money with a 15-year investment horizon, not a 3-year venture capital clock. You don't have to uproot the company and move it to Silicon Valley to grow it anymore. And that is a very different dynamic than what has existed before.
Also, Canada now has a voice in which technologies the alliance prioritizes. A seat in the room of 24 allies deciding which capabilities get built, which supply chains get secured, which industries define the next generation of allied defense. Canada now helps determine the direction of allied technology for decades to come.
Now, Canada joined the fund later than some other members, but the fund is still actively deploying capital, and the opportunities are very much alive. Showing up with genuine commitment with a real strategic intention behind the $107 million is worth more than arriving first with your mind elsewhere. And right now, Canada is there.
Now you might be wondering, is this new? Is Canada just suddenly popular? And the honest answer is this: no. We've been covering the building blocks of this with you guys over the past several months. Japan signed a comprehensive strategic partnership with Canada in June. Defense, energy, technology, critical minerals. Australia's pension funds opened up direct investment flows to Canada in the same month, with $27 billion in bilateral investment already on the books.
And just days ago, the president of the Philippines flew to Vancouver to personally sign a strategic partnership covering trade, energy, and defense. He didn't fly to Washington, he flew to Vancouver, because that is where the serious business is being done right now.
The bond record and the NATO fund are not coming out of nowhere. They are the financial world and the security world independently confirming the same pattern that the diplomatic world has been showing us for months, that Canada is the reliable one, not the USA.
So basically, the good news just keeps on coming for Canada. In April 2026, a record $27.7 billion moved into Canada in a single month. 24 allied nations pulled Canada into the room where the next generation of defense technology will be decided. And Japan, Australia, and the Philippines all signed major strategic partnerships with Canada inside that same 90-day window. 3 completely independent systems, financial markets, military alliances, and bilateral diplomacy are all pointing at the same country at the same time.
Yep. Now listen, Canada's not replacing the United States. It's actually being chosen because right now it is the most trusted option out there. And in the world we are navigating today, being trusted might actually be the most powerful position any country can hold right now. Now, here's our question for you today. Do you think that Canada has the political discipline to hold this window open?
Give us your answer in the comments and tell us which one you think matters most. 27.7 billion bond record or the NATO seat.
Yep, we're reading all your comments and we'd love to hear from you on all this stuff. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit subscribe, give it a like, give it a hype, and share it with someone out there so that they can learn all about this as well.
We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.